If you want to get married at any time in the future, but especially in the next few years, there are some things you should do now. Hey, this is Todd. Welcome to the Thrive Singles Podcast. Whether you're single again or still single, stop hating being single and learn to thrive. And welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me here for another week of the Thrive Singles Podcast. Today I'm talking about things you should do right now if you ever plan on getting married. And if you never want to get married, these things are still important and worth doing. They'll help you to thrive as a single person. But if you do want to get married, especially in the next few years, they're even more important. So don't put it off. Start working on these immediately. First, work toward emotional stability. I've spoken a lot in recent weeks about personal growth. I can't emphasize this enough. The first thing to do if you want to get married later is to become emotionally stable now. This is especially important if you've been through a recent breakup. It's even more important if you have a history of going from one relationship to the next, from one breakup to the next. The problem is, when you're needy, heartbroken, overwhelmed, lonely, plagued by negative thinking, or otherwise emotionally unstable, you're unattractive to the very people who would make a good spouse. And at the same time, you're very attractive to people who themselves are dysfunctional, and to people who might want to take advantage of your emotional state. You're also not thinking clearly. Your judgment's impaired. You see everything and everyone through this lens of your neediness, brokenness, overwhelm, loneliness, negativity, or other distorted emotional lenses. The solution is to make your first priority achieving emotional health. You do that through personal growth. Read some good books. Go to thrivesingles.com and read all my blog posts about personal growth. Find someone who's doing it right. Let them mentor you. So do the work. Learn, do, grow. Next, work toward financial stability. Make it your priority to become financially stable, or at least stable as possible. At least get to the point where you're stable enough to not have to rush to get married for financial reasons. Problem is, just like I said about emotional neediness, you'll see your relationships through that distorted lens. Your judgment will be impaired. Don't end up married to someone with a personality type you don't really find attractive, hobbies and friends you can't stand, or even worse, some terrible character flaw or addiction, just because you need the financial help. The solution is to avoid all that by putting yourself in a situation where finances are not what decide who you marry. Yeah, I know this is easier said than done, and I'm not saying it'll be easy, but I am saying that the freedom it gives you is worth it. There may be things you can do to earn extra money, and there are probably things you can do to cut your expenses. So track your spending, then re-examine and reprioritize where you spend your money. I like Dave Ramsey's baby steps. Those are a great way to get out of debt and get on a sound financial footing. Next, maximize your attractiveness. If you want to get married at some point, maximize your attractiveness now. By that I mean maximize your physical, emotional, spiritual, and intellectual attractiveness, the whole package. The problem is, deep within your psyche, you have this picture of a person. And you want to marry this physically attractive, personable, intelligent, godly, faithful, sexy, confident, successful person. So what type of picture do you suppose they have in their mind of the person they want to marry? Exactly. That means you probably have a little work to do to catch their eye and become the type of person they're looking for. The solution is to do the work. Don't fall back on the "they should just love me the way I am" shtick to justify not making the changes you need to make. Lose the weight. Dress more appropriately. Improve your attitude. Treat people better. Read a book now and then. Work on every aspect of yourself. Stay balanced. Don't settle for being the good-looking but not-so-bright blonde, or the emotional wreck with a good sense of humor, or the talented artist with no social skills. Be equally at home in the gym, at the library, or at church. There are no shortcuts. Improving your physical attractiveness requires eating better, exercising, getting enough sleep, dressing better, and making sure you're always well-groomed. Improving your emotional attractiveness requires working toward becoming more attuned to the needs of others, being more patient, kind, understanding, and open, and less negative, judgmental, arrogant, and self-centered. Improving your spiritual attractiveness requires purity, honesty, loyalty, faithfulness, and living out the things you say you believe. People don't find wishy-washiness attractive. They find passion and strong convictions attractive. Improving your intellectual attractiveness requires more reading, staying informed about the things that are important to the people around you, and getting input from a variety of reputable sources that disagree with each other. That way you can think things through for yourself and form your own opinions. Finally, if you intend to get married at some point, start going on more dates now. And I know, I used last week's episode to talk all about the reasons not to date. But those are exceptions. If you don't fall into one of those categories I spoke about last week, you should go out on dates. The problem is, if you're not going out on dates, you're robbing yourself of a valuable opportunity. Going on dates gives you a chance to learn about yourself, other people, and to know how you react to and feel around different types of people. The solution is to go out on more dates. One of the reasons I married the woman I married was because after spending time with different women, I found that she had the temperament and personality that I most enjoyed being around. I made a decision on the experiences I had spending quality time with her and with other women. If you want to marry, going on dates, as in spending quality time with different people, will help you determine what type of person you really could be happily married to. And if you want to stay single, it's still fun and it's a useful thing to do. It still helps you to understand yourself and other people better. But just to be clear, when I say you should date, I mean you should date in a very specific way. I'm not talking about long-term, sexual, marriage-light relationships. I simply mean going out and spending some quality time interacting with and getting to know people of the opposite sex. Preferably lots of different types of people. Now, before I go, let me emphasize something here. If you want to get married later, start doing these things now. The best time to start is now. Obviously, you're not going to crush it in every area right out the gate. This will take some time, but the sooner you start, the sooner you'll start seeing life start to improve. So take your first baby steps immediately. That could mean literal steps like going for a walk or a jog, or it could mean going to the library and checking out a book on finances or personal relationships. And if you're a guy, it could mean picking up the phone and asking that girl you've been talking to for months for a date. Or if you're a girl, it could mean not automatically turning down your next invitation because he doesn't seem at first glance like your dream guy. So till next week, if you want to marry at some point, you've got work to do now. And if you never want to get married, doing these things will help you thrive as a single person. Work toward emotional stability. Work toward financial stability. Maximize your attractiveness. And go on more dates. And the time to start doing these things is now. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. See you next week. Till then, be sure to subscribe and go check out my extensive archive of past posts at thrivesingles.com. And thrive on.
Whoa, thrive. Yeah, come alive. There's more to life. You gotta grow, you gotta thrive. Whoa, whoa, you gotta thrive. There's more to life than to just survive.